Welcome back to Let's Make a Game, the channel where we are making a computer role-playing game using the free program Twine and the Sugarcube format for Twine. In my last video, I made a list of things that I wanted to add to the game or change about the game. One of them was that I wanted to have the option of searching for secret doors if you were in a dead end. And I've added that, so I will demonstrate what that looks like in play, and then I'll show you the code that made that possible. Note that I have changed the code slightly just for this demonstration to make dead ends more likely. Also notice that the display looks slightly different, but I might deal with that in a future video. So let's wander around and try and find a dead end. We'll almost certainly find one. Oh, no, we didn't. Let's go somewhere else. Nope. Wow, okay, we're very... Okay, we've got a dead end. Now, this icon used to be the icon for the spell opening the way, but I've slightly changed things. I've downloaded a new icon, made that the opening the way icon, and I'm using this for searching for secret doors now. So we have this icon. If we hover over it, we notice that there's some text there that says click to search for secret doors. If we do click, we're going to lose 10 minutes because it always takes 10 minutes. Notice that that comes right down. And we rolled, we get the red text, which we always get when we're rolling dice. So we rolled 7 plus the average of intelligence and dexterity, which equals 15, and that is not enough. So we go back to here, and apart from the loss of 10 minutes, we can just keep doing this indefinitely until we, there we go, until we get one. So we rolled 14 plus 8 is 22. The target is 21, which is the sort of default target. And it says we find a secret door. And this time, if we click on continue, we'll see that there's now 2 tunnels. There's one to the west and one to the south. It's random, by the way. The other tunnel could have equally opened up in these directions. So that's what it looks like in play. Let's look at the code. Now, if you've been following this series, you'll know that there's already code for creating a new tunnel because we have a spell called Opening the Way, which does just that. If you're successful anyway, it opens up a new tunnel. So we don't need to add any code for creating a new tunnel. We can just use that existing code. And if we look at doors, which is the relevant pages, we can see that doors leads to doors 2, which leads to doors 3, which leads to doors 4, which leads to open 3, because open 2, and open 3 are the pages that deal with the spell opening the way. So we can see that we have indeed used that existing code. So let's go through what we do need to do. Well, firstly, we need to print that image in particular circumstances, but the image is sort of got all the options for an image. Images can be links, and images can also have hover text, which is the text that comes up when you move your mouse over it, and this has both. So we've got square bracket, IMG, square bracket, click to search for secret doors, that's the hover text. Then we have that vertical line. Then we have map/sd.png, that's the location and name of the picture. End square bracket. Then we have square bracket DOORS, end square bracket, end square bracket. Well, doors is the page that it goes to if you click on it. If we don't have to have a link, of course, because not all pictures are links. In fact, most won't. So we could certainly legitimately do that. At least, I mean, it wouldn't work for the game, but it would be legitimate code. It wouldn't be an error. And we could also get rid of this hover text if we wanted to. We'd have to get rid of the vertical line as well. So we could just have the image map/sd.png and then link to doors or not. But I like to have hover text because I like people to know what it is, even though, of course, one tries to communicate graphically as well, but I think it's better to have both. But of course, we don't always want to do that, because we only want to have that be a possibility when the player's in a dead end. So this is the if statement that does that. It's if $DD. Well, we've discussed this before. That just means if the player is still alive. It means if not DD. DD is a sort of flag. DD is set to 1. Sorry, I shouldn't say flag without explaining it. A flag is a variable, or at least as I use the term, a flag is a variable that is set to 1 when a particular condition is met. So if $DD means if not DD. And what if not DD means is if the variable DD either hasn't been assigned a value at all or has a value of 0. That's what it means if you have if and then the name of a variable in Twine. And DD is never assigned anything unless the player dies, in which case it's set to 1. So if not DD, or if $DD effectively means if the player's still alive. If the player's still alive and then we have a series of options separated by ORs, so only one of these has to be true. $W equals quote 1000 end quote, or $W equals quote 0100 quote, or, and then there's a couple of other options which are 0010 or 0001. So what is all that? Well, W at the top of the page, W is set to be equal to $M square bracket $CX n square bracket $CY n square bracket. CX and CY are variables that keep track of your current location, CX being your east-west location, your location sort of on the X in terms of the X axis, and CY is your north-south location. $M, standing for map, is an array, a two-dimensional array, each slot of which is filled with a string. The string is exactly 4 characters. A string just means a series of characters, right? A string as opposed to a numeric value. Even though it looks like a numeric value, that looks like it's 1,000, but it's not 1,000. It is the character 1 followed by the character 0 followed by the character 0 followed by the character 0. And it's true. That's why it has those quote marks outside. And what this is a indication of where the tunnels lead from that particular location. So the first character is set to 1 if there's a tunnel to the north. The second one is whether there's a tunnel to the east, and then to the south, and then to the west. So it goes clockwise around the compass. And so we know that 1000 means there's just a tunnel to the north and nowhere else. And then 0100 means there's just a tunnel to the east. And then the other two options mean there's just a tunnel to the south and there's just a tunnel to the west. In other words, these are the 4 different ways of having a dead end. So, in other words, if the character's still alive and they're in a dead end, then print this image that lets them gives them the option to search for secret doors. And then we have this else. Else, print this other image, which is actually just an invisible image. It's a 50 by 50 picture which is entirely transparent. Why would you want to pick a 50 by 50 picture that's entirely transparent? Well, you'd want to do that because you want to keep the width of the stuff you're displaying the same. Why would you want to keep the width of the stuff you're displaying the same? Because the table is centered in the page and you want the main image to stay in the same place. So whenever there's an option to print an image, it'll always print an image, and in fact it'll always be an image of the same size, because no.png and sd.png are exactly the same size. So that means that everything will be, that the total width of the table will always be the same, and therefore the main image will always be in the same position. It won't move left and right, which I thought would look a bit amateurish. So we've clicked, let's say that the character is indeed alive and in a dead end and has been given this option with this picture, and let's say they click it. Well, that'll take them to doors, won't it? I won't spend a lot of time on this code because we have dealt with it before. This code is just, it reduces your lamp oil, that's what LO is, and checks that you haven't run out of lamp oil and died. And you only continue if that's the case, of course, because if you're going to run out of lamp oil and die, there's not a lot of point letting you roll to see if you find a secret door. So let's assume that we continue. We go to doors 2. So I have we have a branching here. If $CE equals 1, then you get a text and a link that allows you to continue on to doors 3. Otherwise, some other stuff happens. Well, let's deal with this first. $CE relates to one of the magic items in the game, which is cat's eyes, and CE is set to 1 if you've actually not just gotten cat's eyes, but your character has put them in their head and is seeing through cat's eyes. And I thought it would be, I don't know, just a nice addition. If you are seeing through cat's eyes, you automatically spot all secret doors. I suppose I was thinking of the sort of folklore idea of that cats are supposed to be able to see ghosts when other people can't and that sort of thing, so they have a sort of special sight. And so it also gives you the power to spot secret doors, apparently. But if not, if that's not the case, then we use roll and add, and that's a page we've seen many times before. It virtually rolls, creates a random value from 1 to 20 and adds something to it. And what it adds to it is based on Z. And steal, S-T-E-A-L, because we set Z equal to steal, steal means use the average of intelligence and dexterity, because there's already some code in the game for trying to steal when you're trading with people. And that uses intelligence and dexterity for sleight of hand and intelligence for sort of spotting the right moment to do it, being able to create a distraction or something like that. And so there's already a way of telling the roll and add page to use the average of intelligence and dexterity, which is what I decided to use for this. So we use that. So we roll and add. So roll a d20 and add the average of intelligence and dexterity, and that will give us RR, $RR, standing for roll result. If $RR is over 20, then it'll give us this message: you find a secret door, and we can continue and go on to doors 3. So that's the same as if we have cat's eyes in our head. Or we don't have cat's eyes in our head and we didn't roll over 20, we rolled 20 or less. We get the message: you spend 10 minutes searching in vain, and we get another continue option, but that just takes us back to explore, where, if we wish, we will get the option again, of course, because nothing will have changed. We'll still be alive and we'll still be in a dead end. So if we want to keep spending 10 minutes, we can keep looking. But let's say that we succeed in our roll, either because we've got cat's eyes or because we roll well. We go to doors 3, and we have this here: set W equal to $MCXCY. Well, we've already discussed what $MCXCY is. It's 1000 or 0110 or whatever it may be, telling us where the tunnels are. And then we go include doors 4, and then we go to explore. And that might seem, you might think, well, gee, there's only 3 lines in that whole page, and all you're doing is setting a variable, and then you just go to another page. That seems a bit wasteful. Why would you need a separate page for this, for the rest of the code? Well, we need a separate page for the rest of the code because this page sometimes loops around on itself. You can actually see that by looking at the sort of display. You can see where the arrows go. Well, this one has a sort of circular arrow that goes back to itself, which means that in some circumstances it will it will just repeat. And the reason for that is we do this. We need to find a direction, and we might pick the wrong direction, because let's say W, remembering that W is a string, so it might be something like that. Let's say W is that. That means there's a tunnel to the north. Now DE is direction. So we set DE, $DE equal to random bracket 0, 3 in bracket. So a random value between 0 and 3. Then we look at $W, square bracket, $DE, end square bracket. That format, where we have a variable and then another variable inside square brackets, would usually be used for arrays. We can also use it for strings. So look for the DEth. What it means in this case is we look for the DE number character in the string $W. You can do that for strings. You can't do that for numbers. So let's say we choose, well, we don't choose. Let's say DE is randomly set to, let's say DE is randomly set to be 0. Well, in this case, then it would look in W0. And that's W0. The first character in the string is W0. The next one's W1. The next one's W2. The next one's W3. So we look at W0. If W0 equals quote 1 quote, then include doors 4. In other words, if we find that WDE equals 1, then we sort of disregard that. We loop around and we just start again. Why do we start again? Well, because we've chosen the direction north, but when we look in W, we see that we've already got a tunnel to the north. So we're trying to create a new tunnel. Obviously, a secret door that opens a tunnel that is the tunnel you've already come down doesn't make a lot of sense in the fiction of the game. So we need to have a new tunnel. So that's what this is for. We look at WDE, and then if the relevant part of the text is 1, then we disregard that and start again. Otherwise, we include open 3. And open 3 is the existing code from opening the way that actually creates the tunnel. And that's why, because of the fact that that one can loop around to itself, that's why we had to have this really small page. We just set W, then we find a direction, and then within doors 4, it will include open 3, which is the code to create a new tunnel. And then when we finish with that, when we've got a new tunnel, we go straight back to explore. So that is how the code works for searching for secret doors. So I hope that was useful or interesting to at least some of you, and I hope you will tune in next time.